8 hours and 30 minutes after departure from Entebbe, Uganda Airlines Airbus A330-800neo touched down at London Gatwick Airport, marking a historic milestone for the national carrier. Flight UR110 hadn't just crossed continents, it had crossed a new frontier in Uganda's aviation story. As the aircraft taxied to its stand at Gatwick South Terminal, passengers were met with unmistakably Ugandan warmth, ululations, songs, and heartfelt embraces.
I know where it is, and I'm managing it, but I need to get everyone, only that I'm going to have a problem to get everyone.
All on time, everything very good.
Guys, we might need to wait here a bit.
As ground handlers prepared the aircraft for its turnaround, boarding began for the return leg to Entebbe. Excitement was mirrored among outbound passengers, many of whom expressed pride in flying the national carrier direct.
Very excited. This is making history. The last flight that came to UK was the one I used to come to UK myself back in 1988. And I'm taking the first flight back to Uganda.
Really looking forward to going on Uganda Airlines' first flight from London to Entebbe. This is my wife, Monique.
Yes.
Okay, and we're going back home.
Uganda's High Commissioner to the UK, Minisha Madvani, was present to see them off.
And thank you to all the team from Uganda Airlines that are here to greet us and welcome us and to arrange everything, and to see all the fellow Ugandans going home for the first time on the first flight directly to Uganda.
Later that evening at the airport hotel, Gatwick Airport's Chief Commercial Officer officially welcomed the Ugandan delegation, which included Works and Transport Minister General Katumba Wamala, the PSST Ramadan Gobi, senior government officials, and other airline executives.
I think what this will undoubtedly provide as a direct service is a valued boost to trade and investment. So the UK and Uganda market was worth over £600 million last year alone. 500 million of that was outbound from the UK, but I think undoubtedly with more direct connectivity, you will see this market no doubt prosper further.
The inaugural service dovetailed into the UK-Uganda Business Forum held the following day in London. Government leaders, private sector investors and trade partners gathered to explore the commercial potential of the new air bridge.
The arrival of Uganda Airlines to the UK takes business and cultural ties between our two nations to a new high. It's a big step in breaking down the walls of misinformation and disinformation that have been keeping away some of the UK investors and tourists from Uganda.
Now in our 5th year, we recognize our role as going far beyond transportation. Uganda Airlines is a platform for transformation, for empowering Ugandan businesses to scale, connect globally, and compete at international standards.
And the infrastructure we are doing is not necessarily just for us to connect within the country. And because we are at the center of the region, our efforts is to connect to our neighbors and the markets there. So we have the investments which we did, the first priority was to connect the borders. Uganda connected to Kenya, we have connected to South Sudan, we have connected to Congo, we connected to Rwanda.
Uganda's position in the East Africa community and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area gives investors access to a market of over 1.4 billion people. So we're not just talking about Uganda, we're talking about Uganda as a gateway, and that's a message we'll be getting across on Wednesday and Thursday, because the potential for growth for Uganda is clear, 6% annual growth. And British businesses are part of that, actually, with UK Export Finance supporting British businesses to secure more than 560 million of export wins in the last 5 years.
While launching a long-haul route during early recovery years may appear ambitious, Uganda Airlines sees the London Entebbe service as a strategically vital play, according to the airline CEO Jennifer Wamturaki.
How airlines operate, you don't shrink, you expand. The moment you start to shrink, then you will not have the numbers, you will not have the revenues, then you'll be running to government or to whoever our shareholders to find the money to sustain us. An airline grows out of a problem. So that is why you'll see that our neighbors will expand, even when they are making losses. So the trick is in how do you expand and how do you expand and what are those things that you keep in check? Things like fuel, things like catering, things like maintenance will always be there. But how do you manage them? And that's where the losses come from. We will make, people think we don't pay taxes. We are also taxpayers. So it's very important for us that when we are launching these routes, we launch them strategically. We don't just launch everywhere. We launch strategically, knowing that these routes at one point will make money. The losses come from somewhere, from what we call our direct costs and indirect costs. So all costs must be managed. So as a team internally, as we launch routes, we look at the cost of operation and we must see how to manage it and make sure we don't bust our losses.
For the tourism stakeholders, they say this route changes the game. With non-stop lift into Entebbe, Uganda is now positioned to compete with regional peers in long-haul leisure and safari travel market.
Because without airlift, there is no tourism, pure and simple. We've got to be able to enable the visitors to get to the tourism destinations. Now, as mentioned, the UK is Europe's top source market for Uganda, but previously, without the international airlift, it's been lagging behind, but there's a lot of opportunity now because it's going to be a shorter journey. It's going to be easier for people to get to the wonders of Uganda.
But it's not just about passenger revenue. The A330's lower deck offers substantial belly cargo capacity, a new artery for Uganda's fresh produce exporters. Looking ahead, Uganda Airlines is setting its sights on sustainable aviation. The airline has begun blending 2% sustainable aviation fuel on its London route, and it's exploring partnerships to scale biofuel production using Uganda's organic waste.
We have a waste management challenge, but in there's an opportunity. By 2050, the aviation world will be going to sustainable aviation fuel. So there's an opportunity in investing in that biofuels out of the waste management. So investors could look into setting up plants and also food stock processing that could start a whole process of sustainable aviation fuel in the country. Now, being the home airline, and as we grow bigger, we are expected to have a blend of at least 2% in our fuel by 2025. 2025. So our first flight out of Gatwick had a 2% blend of SAF. And that a time is coming when we will have to do that even out of Entebbe.
According to officials at Uganda Airlines, this expansion is part of a broader strategy. They are building a hub and spoke model with Entebbe at the center. The goal is to consolidate African regional traffic and connect it to long-haul destinations, with London now being its flagship European spoke. Samuel Ssenono, UBC Business.